Okay, so in this video, I want to go through the top 5 learnings that I have gleaned from being a real estate investor and landlord over the past 5 years. Now, these 5 things, these are basic things. This is information geared towards the novice investor. Maybe you're thinking about getting into real estate in the near future. Maybe you're already in real estate. Maybe you purchased a property and you want to avoid the very common pitfalls because real estate is a very complex industry. And I've personally even made mistakes and I've learned from those mistakes, and you're going to make mistakes and learn from them yourself. And if you get on YouTube or TikTok and someone says, oh, just go buy a bunch of rental properties, everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows, it's not always like that, unfortunately. And actually, it's probably never like that. There's always something that is going to go wrong. And when you're dealing with multi-$100,000 investments or potentially more as you grow your portfolio, you want to make sure that you're protecting your investment and you're doing things in a smart way so that you can maximize your return and keep your mental health in check and enjoy the process, which is also really important. So stay tuned, and we're gonna go through these 5 things right now. Now, number 1, buying in a hot location. And I don't necessarily mean temperature hot, but that could apply because a lot of people are migrating south. I'm here in Arizona, and the real estate market is still on fire, which is pretty crazy to see. But I mean the old adage, location, location, location. And so you want to think about, before you invest hundreds of thousands of dollars, where is a smart location to invest physically? And you want to ask yourself, where is gentrification happening? Where is the train track? Where are new restaurants opening? Is there a new Target going in, a new department store? Where is the downtown? What's the walkability? Are there people outside walking their dogs, riding their bikes? Where's the nearby parks? The lake? All of these things are super important to ask, because you don't want to sink a bunch of money in a location that is riddled with crime, where you walk around and you see cars up on blocks. That's not ever a good sign. And just because it's a good deal, meaning the price point is low, doesn't mean that you can flip it easily and get tenants in there. It's not always that easy. So you want to do a lot of research online and figure out the right place to buy before you invest your money. It's not like picking a stock where it just sits there digitally and grows. You actually are influenced by all of the things that are happening in the world around this property. So keep that in mind. Now, number 2, vetting tenants wisely. And this is even more important than number 1, because without good tenants, there's no point in even owning a rental property, because it's not going to cash flow and you are going to have a terrible time. And I've actually made this mistake more than one time because I took on the responsibility of vetting tenants myself, and I don't think I'll ever do it again. So the questions you want to ask yourself, are these tenants going to pay rent? That's an obvious one. How do they look on paper? What's the debt to income ratio? Are they going to take care of the property? Are you able to get a reference from a previous landlord where they lived, and how did they take care of that property? That's a pretty good indicator of how they're going to treat your property. So you want to make sure that you use resources that are available to you, whether it's a management company, whether it's a third-party resource. And even companies like Zillow and Apartment Ratings allow you to run a tenant's information and do a background check and see how their credit is. Different services are available for you to make smart and informed decisions. And this one, and we live in a digital world, and this became more popular during COVID, but one that is really important is meeting your tenant in person. And I've made this mistake when I went to rent my property for the very first time 5 years ago. And I shouldn't have done that, but I gave a virtual tour and I gave someone the keys, just left them at the door, let them move in without ever meeting them, and I was in for a world of hurt. So don't ever do that. Trust your gut. If you meet a tenant and the vibe is off and you don't think that they're the right fit for your property, then move on to the next. There's a lot of renters, and there's a lot of renters that are going to take care of your property and treat the property with respect. So keep that in mind and choose a renter that is going to be a good fit for your property, the neighborhood. If you own a multifamily property, make sure that they fit in well with the other tenants as well, because it's communal living. So there's a lot of considerations when you're going to place a tenant. It's not that easy as taking the first person who sends an application because you get money hungry and you're just like, oh, I want to see that rent check start flowing in. But it starts to wear off very quickly once you see that they're damaging the property, they're breaking appliances, they're not taking care of the maintenance in the yard, they have, dogs and droppings and things like that, all of which I've experienced. So learn from my mistakes and employ resources to vet your tenants in a smarter way. Now, number 3, this one builds off of number 2, and it's building a smart team around you. And I mean actually smart people that can make informed decisions on your behalf. People who can think critically, place good tenants in your property, for example. Is this person going to be a good fit? Do they fit the profile that the owner is looking for? And the other team members I'm talking about, who is going to be the realtor or maybe the property manager that's handling the vetting and placing of tenants? Who's going to be handling lease renewal? Who's going to be handling the rent collection? Who's going to be the handyman when something breaks? What's the team that services the HVAC? Or what is the team that does the landscaping? Who handles evictions? All of these questions will come up, and you need to have people in place, and you need to vet them as well so that they are treating your property the way that you would want it to be treated. No other person is going to have the same ownership stake like you do as the landlord and owner, because it is your investment and it is your opportunity to succeed. It's not theirs. They're doing jobs and work for you, and you need them to be representative of your interests. So that's very important, and keep that in mind. So number 4, this one's super important. It's having cash on hand in case of emergencies. And there's 2 pieces that I want to talk about here. There's a financial element as well as a mental health element. Both are honestly equally important. The financial element is pretty obvious. If something breaks, you as the landlord are responsible for fixing it. It's your property, and you want to also give the tenant a good experience. And for example, let's say you just put in a new laundry facility and there's 4 sets of washers and dryers for your fourplex. So you need to have cash on hand in case one of those goes out. They're not all going to break at the same time, but you need to have $600, $700, $1,000+ on hand in case one of those units breaks. And if you read Brandon Turner's book on real estate property investing, he talks about setting aside a portion of your cash flow every month into a fund to fund repairs. And that's really important. And as your portfolio levels up in terms of the number of units that you have, that fund needs to be bigger and bigger because you own more stuff. There's more appliances, there's more roofs, and there's just more stuff that can go wrong, and you need that cash on hand to fix that stuff. So that lends itself to the second part, which is the mental health element. The more money that you have set aside for that rainy day fund is going to help you have that peace of mind, which is super important in real estate. Because if you're always thinking about, oh my God, the washer and dryer is gonna break, this is gonna happen, it's not a good way to live. And you get bogged down with the stress of running a real estate business, and being a landlord is stressful, but the more cash you have set aside, the better. If you have older HVAC units, you have to know that break is coming, and that's going to be $8,000 or $10,000, and you got to set that money aside. But you can say, hey, I've got it. It's set aside for when that happens. In the meantime, I'm going to run the operations for my business. Everything's going to be okay. But again, keep in mind, you want to have a lot of cash on hand as it relates to the number of rentals and appliances and things that you have added up within your portfolio. So last but not least, number 5, and this one is the Mac Daddy. It's maintaining your investment. A lot of people get into real estate and I'm done. I got a tenant in there. I'll see you in a year. The people that live next door to me, they rent their house. I've never seen that owner ever. And the paint is falling off. The walls on the outside, it's in disrepair. The yard isn't great. And so I'm not that type of landlord. Remember that real estate and being a landlord is a hands-on game. This is not passive income. You have to protect your investment. If you want to be really rich and put all your money on Nvidia, which is doing incredibly well right now, or do some dividend stocks and just sit back and let it grow, then that's your prerogative, but that's not real estate. And real estate is a requirement that you are maintaining your investment, or guess what? Your tenant is going to go bye-bye. And for example, a tenant spotted some termite tubes in one of the rental units. And so unfortunately, there's termites all over Arizona and they are relentless. So I'm constantly paying for treatment for termites. And so that's just something that I have to commit to make sure that the house is structurally safe and the termites are gone and it's not a pest issue. And then two, giving the tenant a good experience, because if I don't fix that, he's going to say this place sucks, it's in disrepair, it's falling apart, and he's going to leave, and that goes my rent check. So I want to make sure that everything is as good as possible, and the landscaping looks good. It's got that curb appeal, the place is nicely painted, the appliances are in working order, there's electricity in every room, all of this basic stuff you want to make sure that you're on top of, because again, the better you maintain it and you do preventative maintenance, the bigger your return in the future. Because if you go to sell the place and it needs $100,000+ in repairs, that's going to be detrimental to your sale price, and you're going to have to do all this work and stop and get it back up to par. So keep in mind that the more often that you visit the property, and it doesn't even have to be yourself necessarily, although I do highly recommend you go and look at it with your own eyeballs and make sure that the place is being well run, that the tenants are respecting the property, that there's not squatters or homeless people hanging around, things like that. And that goes back to the point I made earlier about building a team around you. Who's going to check on the property? Who's going to help you maintain your investment as it grows? Super important, because again, it's not a bank account. You need to be hands-on and taking care of your property. So to wrap it all up, number one, buy in a good location. And number two, get a good tenant or tenants plural that are going to treat your property with respect and maybe live there for a decade. That'd be amazing, right? Number three, get that team around you where if they are executing on the things that you need them to, it's going to elevate your real estate business and your game, and it allows you to be more successful year after year. Number four, keep cash on hand so that you can fix something as it breaks, or sleep well at night knowing that if something breaks, I can fix it. You can just write a check and be done. Lastly, maintain the hell out of your property. Show up, be present, be a hands-on investor, and make sure that that investment is going to grow and possibly be the nicest house on the block by the time you're done with it, so that it is so attractive to potential renters and buyers. They can't help but want to be around that property. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Until the next real estate investing video, I'll see you later.